Now, since the fall in the price of crude on the international markets, Nigeria tried to shift focus from oil as its main source of revenue to other oil, non-oil revenues.
Yeah. Now, one of such is agriculture, with the aim of making sure that the food import bill of the nation drops to the barest minimum and that Nigerians produce and consume what they eat and ultimately ensure food security.
Already, the agricultural sector has witnessed a turnaround with the different initiatives of the government and the crash in the cost of fertilizer, loans to farmers, overhauling the fertilizer blending plants, irrigation projects and others. Now, but is the sector better off at the moment? How much of these achievements were made in 2017 and what should we hope for this year? Well, we have an agricultural expert, Oluwafemi Salami, who's joining us in the studio this morning. Very good morning to you and Happy New Year.
And Happy New Year.
Good morning, Happy New Year.
Okay, let's begin with some of those questions we just reeled out there. But emphatically, Mr. President, in his New Year's speech yesterday, said importation of rice will stop this year. Exactly. How much confident are you?
Well,
that the revolution that is needed to happen in the agri sector beyond rice is actually, happening?
Well, we need to, first of all, appreciate the fact that Nigeria is over close to 200 million people.
Yes, according to the NBS,
exactly.
193
million. And from statistics from them today, Nigeria grew at about 5% on an annual basis in terms of the numbers, which means whatever policy or achievement you gain must also be in that ratio, as it were. Now, going back to what had happened in the rice sector, we can say there's a boom because the statistics also showing that the importation of rice, at least from Thailand, most especially, which happened to be the major, exporter to Nigeria, still remain, had been on the drop.
From about 600,000 metric tons to about 56 or so?
Just about, no, you see, 20. Oh. As at September 2017, the last quarter, it had dropped to 20,000 tons from 56. Wow. There have been a lot of progress in the rice boom. New products are coming out, the lake rice, the workout price. I am very certain that progress will still continue in this coming year, which is a major plus for this government. However, it's the same story with cassava. I'll tell you, it had been some challenges in that regards, most especially from the processing arm. Apart from the fact that cassava is a major food crop in Nigeria, we still need to do a lot in terms of the processing. The country happened to be the largest producer of cassava. But can we talk about what had happened in the last year? Most of the processing outfits, you take starch, you take I call it cassava flour, the so-called cassava bread. What had happened in industrial field? In the starch production, processing factory, all of them had serious challenge because government gave license for importation of starch, thereby affecting the local, industries. The gains of 2016 as a result of the increase, as a result of the challenge in raising foreign exchange, we are fast losing it because we are back in our old ways. We are selling oil, we have FX, and as a result, people are importing everything now. So, and that is affecting the local industry. Most of the starch manufacturing processing company, cassava starch, are having had serious challenge in terms of competing with all these imported brand. If you look at the area of the cassava, I call it cassava flour, the progress of the previous administration, you find that this is about close to 3 years into this administration, is fast gone. A fund was set out, to ensure the local content of the cassava bread. We're surprised. One of the programs you had on your channel, the minister said the fund that is being utilized for another source, activity, apart from the main. So a fund that was supposed to boost the local content is now being, as it were, diverted for other things. These are major, challenge.
All right. We have heard, like she mentioned, the president talking about the importation of rice has to end in 2017. They seem to be
2018.
Sorry, 2018.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Fine.
Understandable.
It will take me some time to get used to it. Now, the point there is, there seems to be too much emphasis on just few products, few produce, to the detriment of a comprehensive agricultural focus, as the case may be. There has been issue of rice. The whole of last year, it was success story of rice from Lagos and Kebbi State, rice from Abakaliki, rice from Benue, rice from Edo, and so on.
Even Ogun State.
Even Ogun State, exactly.
Yes.
Ogun State.
Metro rice.
The metro rice. But besides that, there are other things that we can always also focus on. That because our rice is not, agriculture is not all about rice.
Exactly.
So what is that thing that is still needed to be handled for us to talk about success in agriculture?
Well, there's so much. One of the things that we need to put our mind, the continuity. One of our best own, who eventually happened to be one of the best things that happened last year, Dr. Akim Additional, got the Nobel Prize for food.
Yeah.
Yes. But you have to put to mind what had happened from some of the policies that he
put in place when he was
What is the
minister?
continuity with it? He had a robust plan, multitask in different aspects. But what have this current administration done in forging ahead with all those policies? Now, I haven't said that there are some basic things that we still have, like the recurring decimal with agriculture. One of it is access to finance. It had always been an issue. We need to also look at this menace of herdsmen. Farms that are even put in place. You have to agree, I appreciate the fact that 85% of farmers in Nigeria, we are still on stocks. They are all smallholder farmers. 85%.
Subsistence farming.
We are still in subsistence farming. And these are the farms that are being, sacked. They ravage the farms, and even the community. What has government done about all those farms that were destroyed? Has there been any enumeration and with a way of compensating them? I'm sitting in front of you here. I lost farm, over 55 hectares to herdsmen. Nothing had been done.
In which part of the country is
Ekiti State.
Ah.
So these are some of the things that, that's what the government there sought to, come up with some of these policies. Of course,
so you're not able to tell us that government in any way has made any attempts to, help victims of herdsmen attacks on the farms?
It will shock you. There have not been, you talk about emergencies, natural disaster, and artificially, man-made disaster. That is one thing that the government had not done anything about. And to even shock you, there's no insurance company that can come to your aid. It's malicious damage. It's 100%. So once you are going to that insurance policy, it's 100% against herdsmen. There have not been any instructive balance. So you find out that farmers that lost their farms are not going back. The other thing that needs to be sorted out is this issue of fuel. I know you have, I need to just quickly sort that. It affects the logistics. The prices of goods, even if you produce so much, you need to still move it to the cities from the farm. So the earlier the better we sort out this issue of perennial fuel crisis. And it will shock you. We are celebrating the increase in crude oil prices in the international market. The backlashes, there's going to be sustained increase in the cost
in the local
of the
price
because
too.
we import the refined product. It's what you push in that you get. So 2018, we better get ready. We've seen the sign towards the end of 2017. So 2018, this government must sort this issue out. Subsidies
How do
here,
you
and
even
they must
solve
sort
this
it out.
problem, especially when it comes to the effect that, you know, fuel oil, the global oil prices, you know, would have on small time, you know, farming in somewhere in Ekiti or in Boko or wherever.
Exactly.
How do you solve that problem if you don't solve the problem of railway? Thankfully, the president has laid out some major plans to turn around the rail system in Nigeria, but that, of course, is a long-term project.
Yes.
What are the immediate measures that can actually be put in place to mitigate at least some of the problems that farmers like yourself have suffered?
Yeah. I need to also underscore some of the progress. There are some very good progress on the issue of rail. Tomatoes from the north to south towards the end of last year were moved through the rail. And there have been more robust plan to ensure that throughout 2018, there will be some consistent progress in that regard. We need to give kudos to the government as regards that. But I haven't mentioned all that. The bitter part of it is that the government needs to engage the stakeholders more. I feel there's a disconnect between the government and the stakeholders.
We had a farmer here, an agriculturist like yourself, who said the loans, like the anchor borrower loans that the CBN has been, you know, giving itself a pat on the back for, that those loans actually go only to portfolio farmers. Imagine
what he called
that's what he called them.
Well,
can you corroborate that?
Yeah, to be sincere with you, there have been a lot of repackaging to even the anchor borrowing scheme towards the end of last year. Some of these challenges have been put into the front burner. And I tell you, it's going to be a lot of... The challenge had always been, as I mentioned, we have a lot of farmers in Nigeria still in that smallholder, subsistence level. And under anchor borrower scheme, you must gather them together under a cooperative team. I know they have equity in the stake, that their commitment. Those are some of the challenges for farmers that have lost, you know, some of their means of livelihood to herdsmen and some of these challenges. How would they be able to raise this fund? Every economy in the world, be it US, be it Thailand, be even Brazil, even some African countries, they subsidize agriculture. Agriculture is business, but you must start from where you are. That's why it seems as if we are not feeling the impact. There must be some level of subsidy in the agricultural sector. And this current minister, one of the things he first said, I would rather subsidize agriculture than oil. So you need to come to...
But when it comes to the issue of subsidy, with the experience we've had in the oil industry, when you mention subsidy, I guess Nigerians will not be ready to listen to that. Exactly.
You see, there must be, that's why I mentioned the issue of the stakeholders. We know ourselves. And it's either the better you know, structure things around, for example, the processing arm of the government, you know, of the private sector. There are a lot of private sector, you know, initiatives that are also going on. Okomo, Presco did extremely well last year. A lot of new things that are happening, Olam and all that. But we need to also know that 85% of our farmers are still at that rock bottom level, and try and move them up to ensure food security and also ensure adequate buffer for the processing arm. I also want to underscore the challenge of the genetically modified products. It
that's
also raised
another side of
major red flags in the course of last year. Some major firms, Olam, Walcott, imported some seeds into the country. And those seeds are issue of contention. So the National Biosafety Management Agency must be up and running. It took the vigilance of Nigerian customs to be able to get some of those seeds imported into the country. So we need to work around all that, the challenge.
But make us understand on the straight, you know, counter. GMO foods, are they good for the people or they're not good?
Well, there are protocols all around the world that must be followed. The challenge with this part of the world is we don't have enough wherewithal, as it were. You can even find out areas that we, as it were, we had competence. We are not matching up with it.
Yeah.
So for now, it must be a guided, you know, entrance into that field. Genetically modified GMOs products is making waves in other worlds, but have we been able to tap into our resources?
Well,
We
speaking of GMO foods, GM foods, some European countries are already rejecting them outright. I was watching a very interesting piece on international global television where scientists, they're already developing lab-raised beef, like lab-grown beef. And the response the researcher gave as to the reason why they're going that way, you know, to make beef available to as many people as possible because of the environmental impact that cows, the normal natural cows, are causing to the environment and all of that. And I'm like,
If it's not a cow, I wonder if it's beef.
All right.
We may have to leave it here now because of time. Thank you very much, Oluwafemi Salami, for joining us on the program. Thank you so much.